Hello, everybody. Welcome. Sunday night. Well, where I am in Washington, D.C., May 30th. Good evening, all. John Ervos is here. I'm going to light up TikTok as we speak so they can join us. TikTok, TikTok. Where's my TikTokers? We're notifying. You better be notifying. You better be notifying. Manda Bear, you're first. As always, you're my northern star here, or some, whatever it is. My lodestar? I don't even know. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody here. Oh, Nancy. Hello from Facebook. Nancy's saying hello, everybody. Not everybody can see. Well, it's complicated. I can see all of your comments, but hey, guys. Hello, TikTok crowd. TikTok crowd. Oh, actually, is this leaning more? There we go. I have a nice stand now for my iPad. I like to adjust. Maybe that's good. Yeah, give people a sense where you all are from, if you would. Nancy's in Washington. We take a couple minutes just to give time for people to pop in. So please introduce yourselves. Marion, good to see you. And for you, Bulgaria, nice to see you again. And for you TikTokers, remember to keep tapping the screen, because the more likes, there's always a better chance that maybe TikTok will let more people know we're doing this. Because sometimes I think TikTok is playing games. So that is always a helpful thing. But yeah, if you folks want to just tell people where you're from, that's sort of a nice thing we do to start the show. Bonjour Montréal, ah oui, Audrey-Anne encore. Wait. Jeff in Pennsylvania. I'll keep putting the Facebookers up so people can see you guys. Yep, the other Washington, Nancy. Chicagoland. I know. Sometimes they notify, sometimes they don't personal. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, just keep tapping the screen on TikTok, and at least maybe that'll help give us a chance of more people seeing this. Whew, man. Another bad asthma day here in D.C. Nice and 90. I'm sure it's 90 now, probably 87, but humid and nasty. James, the lone LinkedIner, the only guy who joins us via LinkedIn. Excuse me. Wie geht's? Gut, Thomas. That's all I can say in German. Oh, what else? Def Leppard. What else, guys? And I'm in DC. So, hey, everybody. Yeah, I don't know. I did actually a little live this morning that was fun. I am good. We did just kind of a coffee one this morning. We just hang out for a little bit. It was fun. Привіт. Привіt. What? Ukraine? Oh, somebody's from Ukraine. DLB. Give DLB some love on TikTok, guys. Hailing from Ukraine. Give those sunflowers for DLB. Whew, I know it's hot everywhere, I'm suspecting. Very, very warm. Very, very warm. I am good, Luke. Or Luked. Luked. Just to confuse me. Large blast in Sloviansk. Okay. Oh, yeah. The Heroam Slava I haven't gotten as good. I always keep forgetting that as the response. Oh, okay. That's nice. We're getting actually, I did forget that I may have the same jokes going tonight. Actually, well, I don't know. We can leave the same jokes going tonight for fun in case nobody's seen them. The ads, the ads on YouTube in the aggregate can help. The interesting thing with YouTube, I found out, we're about to start the show, but we wait a minute or two longer just so the TikTokers and the YouTubers have time to arrive. But one thing I found that was interesting is I had a video that got 1 million views on YouTube, and it ended up being about $1,000 that it got me. And that gives you a sense of how the YouTube money works on YouTube, not TikTok. That basically you've got to get 1 million views and you still only get $1,000. Not only $1,000 is nice, but 1 million views is a lot. So my TikTok problem, not really, no. TikTok is throttling my account. What do you do? I was telling folks on TikTok, just keep tapping that TikTok screen and maybe that'll help notify more people, because TikTok sees there's a lot of likes and hopefully it convinces them that, ooh, this is an interesting live to check out. All right, guys, let me, I'll kind of get rolling. Let me put my fan on here to keep my apartment a decent temperature while we do this, because the heat is still coming in from outside. Here we go. Boom. So I am John Arvozas, as you all know, here in Washington, D.C. Raggedy Ann, you can bring that up later. I'm not really up on what you're talking about, although I do know things about Glenn Greenwald because we were friendly once. I did change my shirt. I kept changing shirts today because I wasn't liking what I was wearing on camera for you guys. So anyway, so the deal is I start with about 20 minutes of news. I tell you guys what news I think matters and is important. And then we get into question and answer after that. The question and answer goes for a good 45 minutes at least. What I ask you to do is on TickTock, submit your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom. And that way it lists them in a row for me, which makes it very easy. And also, as I said, like and follow me if you would. Like me, please like me. But keep tapping that screen to get the likes up because we hope, I just learned that this morning, we hope that maybe that somehow tells TikTok that we like this live and tell more people. As for YouTube, you guys know the drill. Enter your questions in the box at the bottom. If you buy Super Chat questions, I will thank you profusely and will get to those immediately. Relatively immediately, because we get about 100 questions combined between TikTok and YouTube and everything else. I can't get to all of them, but I always promise the Super Chat questions I will get to. And we are going to talk about long-range missiles. Don't you even think that I'm not talking about long-range missiles today. We totally are. So I will give you the headlines because that's what folks kind of like me to do. So I'll give you the stories that I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to dive in. So and I'm sorry, and I didn't say too, on TikTok, thank you as well for doing the fun little hats and all those kind of crazy things you can put up, because every time you do that, it also is a contribution to the contributor. So it is very nice of you to do. And like that flower there from Iggy, when I see them, I will give you a shout out as long as I see them. Sometimes when I'm reading, I don't see them. So the recap of the stories. The European Union oil embargo is agreed to. That is breaking news we're going to talk about. Russia accuses Ukraine of war crimes, and it's absolutely hilarious. So we're going to talk about that. Little bit of an update on what's going on in eastern Ukraine. There actually hasn't been much of a change there. United Kingdom Defense Intelligence says the Russian army is in for some trouble. We're going to talk about the long-range missile deal that may now be in trouble. Biden may be backtracking. We're going to talk about Russian natural gas to Netherlands. I guess I don't need that one anymore. I had EU about to adopt oil embargo, but that's already been agreed to. Scratching that out. We're going to talk about Kalush Orchestra, a new poll of Ukrainians, a French journalist who was just killed, unfortunately, in eastern Ukraine, Netflix, and a bomb going off at a collaborator's home in Ukraine. So let's jump right in. So the oil embargo is the big breaking news. The European Union, which is the organization of European countries getting together, common market, common economy. The Brits recently pulled out of it, but it's a lot of the European countries. They reached a deal. We're still getting all the details, but it looks like the deal is, and thank you for the wishing bottle, Lori. It looks like the deal is that oil imports by tanker will be banned to Europe in general. And by, by pipeline, they will not. But that's quite significant because thank you guys. Because 2/3 of Europe's oil comes via tanker. So this means 2/3 of the oil that Russia is exporting to Europe is going to get cut off in principle by this agreement, which is fabulous. Thank you, Flint, and thank you, Nicolina, as well. Bonjour Strasbourg, Gig is checking in. Hungary is probably exempt, but we don't really care because Hungary is such a small country in this regard with regards to the oil that it doesn't make that big of a difference. And we don't yet know the timetable. So we don't know How quickly is this happening? Did they find kind of a way out of it, or is it going to be pretty quick? Because if it's pretty quick, that's pretty amazing. This, as I said, 2/3 of the oil the Russians are exporting to Europe would be cut off. The total oil that Russia exports to Europe, the latest figure I saw was around $23 billion. Granted, oil prices keep fluctuating, so it depends. This would be around 16 billion a month that the Russians would lose. The only thing is, from again reading the analysts on this, that's not necessarily the end of the world for the Russians. That they're making a lot of money otherwise from oil because of the prices being higher. Nonetheless, this is not a bad thing. This is really a good thing, and it's a significant additional effort. So let's find out the details. The second thing, and this, I was going to start with this one, except the oil embargo just happened, the agreement. So I figured I might as well get it out there. Russia accuses Ukraine of war crimes. Now listen to this. This is the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Twitter. And the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says, the military leadership of Ukraine forbids the troops to retreat and surrender. Their main task is maximum destruction of civilian infrastructure. We see no response from the international organizations and Western countries in reaction to these criminal methods. They're calling it a crime that the Ukrainians aren't surrendering, is what they're saying. And it sounds like the second half of the crime is, oh, you're making us, Russia, commit war crimes by not surrendering, so you're also guilty of the war crimes we're committing, which ironically is some of what the French have been saying the last few days, sadly. I love France, but they kind of have. Thank you for the lights there. Who was that with the lights? Tikiria and Boxing Gloves from Kanowski. Thank you. In Severodonetsk, so there's been some bad stuff. I talked about it the other day from a big former French ambassador making some really nasty comments. So I talked about this the other day. Severodonetsk, big battle going on in eastern Ukraine. Very big, very bloody battle. This is a big one. The Russians had been making some advances. They had won over the town of Liman about a week and a half ago. But I went into way detail on this last night or yesterday. What was important about this was, while the Russians did take over this town of Liman, which is strategically important, a small town, but strategically important, they did not make too many advances after that. They advanced about 10 miles or 8 to 10 miles after that within the first couple of days, and then stalled. Major stall going on with the Russian troops. Now they're going after Severodonetsk. Big deal, because if they get, a big moral or psychological deal. If they get Severodonetsk, then they can say that we attacked that we won over all of eastern Ukraine. That not the whole Donbass, but Luhansk, which is the easternmost, there's like two provinces, the easternmost province, that we won it over and we've got all of it now, all of half of eastern Ukraine. And psychologically, that's a big victory lap for them. The problem is, as I was explaining yesterday, this is the Russians are sort of throwing everything they've got at it, and it isn't smart of them to do. They have been unable to surround the town of Servo. I'm thinking of Mystery Science Theater 3000 of Severodonetsk. And what they wanted to do, which would have been smart to do, would have been surround the town and then fire at the town from the outside and basically have a siege where you're bombing the town, you're cutting off supplies, this kind of thing. They haven't been able to. Probably they haven't been able to, some of the analysts say, is because they don't have enough vehicles. And what's happening as a result is they finally decided to just go straight into the town. Well, going straight into the town is very costly. It costs your machinery, it costs your manpower. And the experts are not convinced they're going to be able to pull it off. So really not good. What the Russians are doing. They're having some advances, but what the analysts have been saying, I don't want to give my whole talk from last night again, but they're saying that the Russians are trying so hard to get this last town in I'll say the far east, because there's two eastern portions, that they're basically burning themselves out. Whatever happens after this town, the Russians are pretty much going to have to pull back at that point and dig in. In other words, dig in and wait for the Ukrainians to then counterattack to try to get their land back. But otherwise, this is kind of it for the Russians, what's going on right now. Thank you, Manda Bear. The Kherson, there was a successful Ukrainian counteroffensive, a small one. yesterday in Kherson. Kherson is a region and a town in southern Ukraine, right north and west of Crimea. If you look at the map, it's sort of the southwesternmost end of what the Russians currently are occupying and controlling. And we don't know the details of what the Ukrainians did, or I haven't seen them yet, but apparently they were successful, and that's good. You know, they're doing like small little fights here and there, but that was good. The other bit of news, and this was kind of interesting intelligence here, is that the Russians announced that Kherson, which they were going to have either a referendum, and then I think they changed their minds and said, we're just going to annex Kherson. We're going to make it part of Russia. Well, now that got put off until next year. Suddenly, they're not going to annex it anymore. And the thought is it's because they can't get it under control. Thank you, CTRPN. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but thank you for the hat. They can't get these regions down there, the new regions in the south they've occupied under control. One example is, and I was going to jump down because I had the story further down, a collaborator mayor in the area of the Oblast of Zaporizhia found a bomb outside his home. Well, he found a bomb. He found a bomb outside his home because the bomb went off. And I believe I haven't actually seen anything whether he's alive or not, but the resistance is doing a very good job. This is the third bombing, I believe, that I've heard of them going after the local collaborators in these towns. And it means that the resistance is real. It's organized. It's in touch with the Ukrainian intelligence, the military intelligence, who's telling them how to do stuff. They're getting the bombing supplies. They've got the bombing know-how, and they've got the means of getting where they need to get to put the bombs in place, like outside these people's homes and everything else. So really, really very interesting. And it's a sign of what's to come for Russia. And more generally, this is why Russia's not annexing the regions yet, because they realize they're going to be annexing regions that they don't have under control, and they're going to have a lot of terrorism. Well, you could call it terrorism. I mean, I shouldn't even use the word terrorism, whatever you want to call it. But there's going to be a lot of bombing of the Russian collaborators and the Russian troops. The UK intelligence, the defense intelligence from the United Kingdom, says that Russia has likely suffered devastating, and that was their word, devastating losses to its mid and junior ranking military officers in the past 3 months. That they've lost so many of their junior and mid-level officers that it's going to cause a problem for the Russian army for years to come. The reason they're losing them is, hi Germany, the reason they're losing them is that the Russian troops are doing so badly that they're having to send officers to the front. Normally the officers would be further back directing everybody. They're doing such a bad job, the regular troops, that the officers are having to go to the front in order to direct, but also kind of threaten everybody to do their job. And what happens when they're at the front? They're getting killed. So it's, bad news for the Russians. Again, good news for the Ukrainians. So let's talk about this long-range missile fiasco. I'm pretty sure the other day when I had reported on Biden Friday. Okay, it was Friday. Thank you, Kanowski. Friday, there is a report in the New York Times that has talked to an administration official who says that Biden has approved providing long-range missiles to Ukraine. And this is a great thing. Ukraine's been wanting this forever. Huge deal. When I told you guys about it at the time, I am 99.9% sure that I said, this is great. But I also threw in and said, let's see if it's true, because this is reminding me a little of those airplanes, those MiG jets that Poland was going to get to Ukraine, right? Well, what do you know? Biden looks like he pulled the rug out underneath, from all of this morning, but it's confusing. And even the confusing is not good, because you don't want confusion on all this stuff. So what happened this morning was Biden's coming back on the helicopter to D.C., and he gets asked about this, whether he's providing the long-range missiles to Ukraine. And he says, we're not going to send to Ukraine rocket systems that strike into Russia. Everyone interprets this as being that we are not sending them the long-range rockets that they want, period, which is very bad, and also would be complete opposite of what we were told 3 days ago, what his administration was saying. Now, the Reuters story on this had a paragraph that intrigued me. Now, I'm not saying this is entirely true. I hope this is true, but I'm not saying it's entirely true. What I mean is I'm hoping this is true. The paragraph in the story sounds to, as somebody who's worked in Washington for 30 years and I've written with media, but also I've pitched stories to media. I mean, I've been media and I've pitched stories to media. This sounds to me like a paragraph that came from a White House official making a bit of a correction, but didn't want to do a correction on the record and look like he was correcting Biden. Listen to this paragraph. Biden did not rule out providing any specific weapon systems. So first they're saying he didn't rule out any weapon systems. He didn't say we're not giving the long-range rockets, but instead appeared to be placing conditions on how they could be used. So the thought here is what they're claiming, and let's see if it's true, is that, and by the way, moderator, totally okay to get somebody who said, are you a Hollywood actor? That one I'm okay with you getting rid of. We have discussions sometimes with the moderators about like, who's somebody who deserves to be banned, who isn't? And it's kind of a tough call because I like to be, moderate about such things. But when people are being just, anyway, good for you, mod, whoever did that. So what they're suggesting is that Biden, maybe what Biden meant was, we're not going to listen to the sentence. Listen to the sentence again from Biden. We're not going to send to Ukraine rocket systems that strike into Russia. In other words, what the White House person, I think White House person, is saying is Biden did not say we're not going to send missiles that could hit Russia. He's saying we're not going to send missiles that will hit Russia. And the difference there is we're going to get the Ukrainians to promise not to use them against Russian land. And therefore, Biden's sentence is correct. We're not going to send Ukraine rocket systems that strike into Russia. It's subtle and it's a little bit of BS if you ask me. But to me, this sounds like somebody is trying to finagle what Biden said. So help me God, if Biden kills this deal, again, I'm not going to go bananas. Thank you, Allie. I'm not going to go bananas yet because we don't know yet. Even Biden's statement this morning was confusing. It wasn't even clear, for example, here's another, I just thought of this as we're talking, by the way. Another reason why I'm wondering if Biden misspoke again is because we weren't told after Biden spoke that the deal's over. Nobody from the White House confirmed, oh yeah, the deal's over. They didn't say, oh, and a White House source said, or even the White House press secretary said, yeah, the deal's over. We're not sending the missiles. No one said that. All they've got to work on is Biden's quote from this morning, and it's been 12 hours. And to me, that means lots of journalists talked to the White House. They got quotes. They talked to the Defense Department, and the quotes were, you got to do this off the record. Now, this is BS. I want to use my swear words, but I'm not doing it because I'm trying to be good for TikTok and YouTube. This is BS either way because you don't want to put out messages that are confusing because right now we have no idea what Biden actually meant, and it means the Russians have no idea what Biden actually meant. And if supposedly Biden is trying to convince the Russians, I don't agree with Biden on this, but if you agree that we really want to make sure the Russians know exactly what we're doing so that there's no confusion, so that they don't think, oh my God, we're sending really scary missiles that could hit Russian territory, and then the Russians respond with nukes or whatever, then you give the Russians clear indications. This is yet again not a clear indication. So I'm a little annoyed. In any case, that's where it is. I mean, now I was going to tell you, oh yeah, I wrote down a few notes here. I am not going to pretend to know more about these weapon systems than the military folks among us, but an example of why somebody had asked the other day why they matter. Like, why does it matter if Ukraine gets these? We do not yet, let's assume they get some of these systems. We don't know which exact system they're getting. It probably would be one of the lesser systems, that can shoot less far than some of the others, okay? But nonetheless, even the systems they were saying, even some of the systems can go 50 plus miles, more than that, but at least 50 miles, which makes it far easier for Ukraine to hit Russian targets. And somebody, an expert on Twitter, a defense guy on Twitter, did some really, my mic's tapping my shirt. Oops, sorry. Well, I can try let me try that there. If it's lower, it won't move around. We'll try that. If the defense guy was saying that basically having like 100 or even 150 mile radius was what he was showing, you could hit deep into the inhaler. Does make me talk faster. I know. I just did my inhaler before I came on. You can hit deep into occupied territory by doing this. So the Ukrainians would be all across from the east all the way down to the south with Kherson and Zaporizhia. They could go deep into the occupied territory from safe positions inside their own territory, which is huge. Okay. Listen to what else though. This was amazing to me. The accuracy, distance, reloading time are all much better with the US models than the Russian models. For example, the reloading time, you fire a missile or you fire artillery, whatever it is, and then you have to put a new one in, right? And you put the new one in, you have to direct it where it's going. 20 minutes or 40 minutes reloading time for the Russian models, depending on the model, 20 or 40 minutes. The American model, 5 minutes reloading time. That right there tells you what's coming. Imagine 5 minutes. Well, with the Russian, what they were saying is the Russian model, because also it's this archaic way, they've got to use like literally an eyesight to direct where it's going. The Russians can send like one volley an hour. The American version can send 5 or maybe even 6 volleys an hour. So it's a lot more that the U.S. can fire than the Russians. Thank you, Pavel. And that's why it's so important. It's not just the increased range, which is great, but it's just outgunning the Russians. Oh, the other thing they were saying is that because it takes the Russians so long to respond, because maybe it's one volley an hour, if Ukrainians fight first, if they fire first, it takes longer. I thought I slowed down now. See, to my ear, I've slowed down because I did my inhaler before I came on, and it does make me like faster. But I was thinking that I sounded much slower now. Oh, sorry guys, it happens with the allergy, with the allergy stuff. But yeah, so the Ukrainians using the American weapons would be able to fire, and it might take the Russians an hour to fire back, and that gives them ample time just to move the thing. So brilliant, just brilliant, what could happen with this. Anyway, let's see what happens. I'm not going to get pissed. Let's not get mad at Biden until we know for sure what's happening, right? But, you know. Exactly. And I told Flint he's allowed to make fun of me as long as he pays for it. So there you go. That one's allowed. The Kalush Orchestra, our favorite boys from the Eurovision Song Contest, sold their trophy from Eurovision for $900,000. They are going to use it to buy 3 drones that will then be provided to the Ukrainian military. Thank you, Kanausi. And I was not aware that we Greeks speak fast, do we? Is it great? It's probably a Chicago thing too, but I am. I've always been a fast talker. My brain's moving too quickly is honestly the problem. New poll, among other things, 94% of Ukrainians defined victory as the liberation of all occupied territories, including Crimea. Thank you, Lynn, for that. That was a beautiful train. I appreciate that. A French journalist was killed in eastern Ukraine today. Oh, you're Greek too. All the Greeks are weighing and going, we all talk fast. Probably Southern Greeks are better, but the rest of us are pretty fast. Frederick Leclerc Imhoff was in a vehicle escorting civilians out of a town in eastern Ukraine. The Russians knew it was a vehicle that was off limits because it was supporting civilians. Thank you, Tikiria. But they didn't care. They fired. They hit the car and killed him. And this was an armored car. And he was in body armor and the whole thing and killed. Young guy, too. Really ridiculous. Netflix has finally fully pulled out of Russia. I'm not sure what the delay was, but for some reason, it was announced today, I guess, that Netflix had finally managed to turn off their app and their web services in Russia. Again, I don't know why it took this long. It seems a little strange, but I'm glad it's the case. And yes, for the TikTokers, keep tapping the screen away. I only this morning was told, I'm tapping my own face. I was only told this morning that you could tap the screen. I had a year on TikTok and I never knew you could tap the screen. But as I said, it's getting the likes up there and hopefully it's helping. And thank you, CTRPN. I got to find a better name for you. Oh, I wouldn't run for president in a million years. And then as I mentioned, the collaborating mayor of Zaporizhia got his home bombed. And that's it that I've got on the news for today. That was pretty short. That was our usual 20 minutes. Thank you for the donuts too, Michael. Let's jump into the question and answer. And as always, we've got a good 45 minutes today. Thank you, Rhonda, for the hat. We've got a good 45 minutes today. So I will we'll do our usual kind of back and forth. And I always forget, in case I haven't mentioned it, I've got TikTok on my iPad in front of me. I've got LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube over on my laptop, iPad laptop. So that's why you see me kind of going back and forth. All right, guys. You know what? Actually, there was one or two things people wrote here that I had not seen. Thank you, Flower Lady. You know I love that C scene. What is up with Glenn Greenwald and the Washington Post and the Bloomberg articles? I have not seen the articles. What's up with Glenn Greenwald is its own very long discussion, but I haven't seen the articles. What are they? What are they about? Flint says there have been rumors that Putin's already dead. I saw that. We talked about that last night. Thank you, Kanowski, for the Borg. It says love focus. It's a Borg implant. Love focus. Or it's Star Trek Deep Space Nine's headgear. And thank you, Vaughn, for that too. We talked about it yesterday. The thing with the rumors of Putin's death and the body doubles and all of this is 4 of them came out yesterday from the British tabloid press. And they all came out at the same time. And I think that's really weird. You know, it's just really weird. It wasn't anywhere in the real media. It's the tabloids and all 4 tabloids at once. Some people think it's almost like, it's almost as if the Russians are putting out the disinformation for Putin. And some people have postulated this before. Actually, my friend Marion and I had talked about this. I don't know, Marion, if you got anything to weigh in, but I think it was with you that we talked about whether the Russians, like for some crazy reason, think this is somehow beneficial to present Putin as dying. My only thought with that is, maybe they think it'll freak us out even more because, again, Biden today, well, we don't want to scare Russia. If you think Putin's dying, I've heard people say this to me, well, but what if Putin's dying and on his deathbed, he decides to push the nuclear button? And I'm always like, why would Putin do that on his deathbed? Putin wants to be remembered as, the greatest of all czars. And he's not going to be the greatest of all czars if he gets everybody killed in his own country. He's going to be the greatest of all czars if he manages to take back Ukraine, then yes. So I don't see it as he pushes the button. But if that's what people are worrying about, then maybe it's smart for Putin to have people think he's sick and dying. Like, oh, he's dying and his mind is out of control. Who knows what he'll do, right? So it's possible. Weird, but possible. That's my take, Flint. Let me jump to that's interesting, actually. So I've got a couple points you guys made here real quick, and then Danielle, I'll get yours. Maybe faking Putin's death so he can disappear. Interesting. They're saying on Google that Putin is blind now. I did see one report saying he was having a hard time with his vision. One thing that's interesting is Michael Steele, who's the former British spy, did say he heard from several of his people that Putin was in trouble, was having physical problems and everything else. So, there could be some truth to it. Daniel, what's going on? Story today about Russia allowing Turkey to escort Ukrainian grain out of the Black Sea Could there have been a deal done in return for no MLRS? Yes, there could have been a deal done for that. Yeah. You know what's funny? You said that on my morning TikTok. I'm sure I said it. Hey, Poppy. I'm sure I said it on my morning TikTok that I did. Was I telling you guys? Who was I telling today about this? I said if Biden was smart, he would make a deal and he would say, you know what? I want to send these rocket launchers, these missiles to Ukraine. Russia, if you say that you're going to open up or stop the grain embargo, I'm only going to send them the weak missiles that don't go nearly as far. But it's up to you whether I send them or not. So I swear to God, I did say it this morning. I swear to God, I said that. Thank you. People are verifying me on TikTok. I totally proposed this morning. Joe Biden is watching my TikToks. No, he's not. He's not. But that's interesting. It also pisses me off a little bit because the Russians are taking the grain hostage. So we're going to make it easier for them to win the war because they took the grain hostage. I mean, I get it, but that's bullshit if that's what happened. And it absolutely could be what happened, Daniel. It absolutely could be. But it's utter BS. It's utter BS if that's what happened. Because this does not help us in the long run. This helps Russia win the war in the long run. And that's going to be really dangerous for all of us. So let's see. Again, not going to criticize Biden yet because we don't know if that's the case. Now, I did not see that story when I was reviewing over the last hour or so. Is it a done deal? Or is it something being discussed? Let me see here. One second, guys. Harvey Kittle says, considering Russia's ambitions in Ukraine are getting smaller and smaller, and that's true. Can you imagine them getting any smaller than this, or is this Putin's be-all and end-all? I mean, Sky News today. Okay, interesting. Thanks, Daniel. Putin's ambitions have gone. Oh, excuse me. I had some chocolate before the show to wake me up because I was starting to yawn and stuff. So I had several pieces of really dark chocolate and I'm still yawning and burping too, which is really rude. So it's got me doing everything to all of you now. I apologize. What Putin did is initially he wanted to take all of Ukraine and they were going to do it. Remember with this blitzkrieg lightning strike at Kiev. I was going to say Paris, not Paris, Kiev. And we'll talk about the mug cake at the end. Manda Bear, hope it was good. A blitzkrieg attack at Kiev. It didn't work, right? Then he was doing the long slog to take Kiev and the long slog to take Kharkiv, the second city in the east. Got kicked out of both. Those failed. He was able to take more land in the east overall. That was good. I mean, for Russia. He was able to get this land bridge, Mariupol, finally. So that was, good for Russia. But he's pretty much had to settle now with trying to get Severodonetsk in the east. And after that, it ain't clear he's getting anything else other than that town. So the question can be, right, can his goals be any smaller? I mean, they can be. The thing for Putin, which gets weird, is I don't agree in giving him an out. But he saves face if he gets some land out of this. The problem is we don't want to give him land because he's only going to be back for more. So I'm not sure. I am yawning at you guys now. Stop that. I'm not sure, Harvey. I don't know. I mean, I hope we'll be defining it smaller, but it could be. It could be that he gets kicked out of everything except maybe he does get to hang on to part of, more of Luhansk than he had before, more of Eastern Ukraine than he had before. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I agree with you. He's already at a point now where it's getting, thank you, Kanowski, for the L. He's already at a point now where he's accepting much less than he was accepting before. Now, having said that, there is still talk about Putin possibly going after Kyiv again and possibly going after Kharkiv again. Thank you, Eddie. So he may not have given up. I mean, the Russians, couldn't you imagine the Russians thinking they're going to somehow regroup and make some massive attack again? So it's possible. Boom. Let me find a TickTock question here. Get my glasses. I hope so. I mean, Chris asks, could the stealing of the Turkish fish lead to something more? Yesterday, I mentioned that the Russian ships had seized 2 Turkish fishing boats with 12 men on board, and they fined them $30,000. This is in the Black Sea there, right off of Ukraine. Fined them $30,000, or dollars, I think, same thing as euros at this point with the exchange, really, and took all of their fish, which was the interesting story to me. Why would they? First of all, what are you going to do with the fish, right? I mean, you're military. What are you going to do with the fish? Well, you're taking the fish because your troops are in trouble and your troops don't have food. So very interesting story to me. Now, if I were the Turkish leader, I'd be pissed. Yeah, I'd be pissed. What are you doing picking up my civilian ships? It would, first of all, make me, if I were Turkey, I would say, that's fine. We're going to be sending our military boats now escorting our fishing vessels. And knowing Erdogan, that's actually the kind of thing he could do. I hope he does do it, frankly, because anything that kind of starts to tick off Erdogan to Putin is good. But yeah, it was really stupid of Putin to have or maybe Putin didn't know it, but it was really stupid of their troops to do that, because that's the kind of thing that's going to really, somebody like Erdogan. Yeah. PB&J, what are you saying here? Just saw this AP news agency breaking Georgia's breakaway region of South Ossetia ditches referendum on joining Russia, leader says. Interesting. We'd have to know more about it, though, to know why that matters. I mean, not why it matters, but what the larger message is there. Breakaway region South Ossetia is ditching a referendum on joining Russia. I don't know. Maybe people are fighting back or something. I don't know. It's now maybe I am not up on South Ossetia at all. I mean, I know of it, but I wonder if maybe maybe they're having the same problem they're having in Kherson, where people are starting to fight back, and maybe people in South Ossetia have gotten more emboldened because they see how badly Russia's doing elsewhere, and the fact that now Russia is busy elsewhere, that it's making them kick back or fight back more, and now they can't afford a referendum. I don't know. Yes, that is long past, Treva, but you are correct. The only thing is we don't know yet about Biden. We still don't know if Biden screwed up the long-range missile deal. We don't know. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until we know, but I'm still going to criticize him in that the fact that the explanation is so screwed up now that nobody knows what's going on, this White House has got to get its act together, or they're going to lose. They're going to lose the election for Democrats in the fall. And this is why I get pissed about it for policy reasons, but I'm a political person too. I've worked in this town in politics for 30 some years, minus 2 years I was in New York City, and all of this portrays weakness. And when you portray weakness, the voters don't like it. I mean, the voters could disagree with you and still vote for you if you look strong. But if you look weak, it doesn't matter how good your ideas are. They sit there and they go, you know what? This is actually a lesson for Democrats overall. The economy's bad. It's not, but people think the economy's bad. They're worried about inflation. They should be worried about inflation, but the rest of the economy is good. Nonetheless, they're worried about the economy, okay? They're worried about Ukraine. We're at war. Even if we're not at war, we're kind of at war. When they're worried about stuff, they want a strong leader who reassures them. They don't want someone where they're always questioning, is he really in charge? Is he too old? Is he going to change his mind? Does he even know what he's saying, that they keep correcting him? Now, I'm not saying all of this is true, what I'm putting out there. I don't necessarily think he's too old or whatever, but I think the perception of every time he misspeaks or whatever it is, the perception is this guy just doesn't know what he's doing, and that's not beneficial, and it hurts in elections, and I'm not sure how you get around it, but it worries me. My job in New York City, I was running the online team for the United Nations Development Program, the most horrific job of my entire life. The former Soviet republics that have Russian-backed Russian separatist areas should expel them. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. All right, let me grab another question from you guys on TikTok. Keep hitting that like button. Oh, we're already over 200,000 likes. Thank you, guys. Keep hitting those, not the like button. Keep tapping the screen for me, guys. We got to let TikTok know you like these lives. Is the Russian army falling apart? I mean, yeah, in many ways, yes. You know, they've still got lots of artillery, which means they can still just lob the artillery, you know, and blow the hell out of Ukrainians, and they don't care who they hit. So they can still cause tons of damage. So absolutely. But they're, as we said, losing their officers. They're losing the mid-level and junior level officers. We know they've lost a lot of generals. All of that's going to take a lot of time to replace. And by losing all of these guys, it's creating morale problems. That was the other thing the story said about the what the UK defense intelligence folks had said about Russia losing so many of the ow, my arm hurts. I was gardening today and I just like scratched the hell out of my arm. I'm hoping I don't like have, you know, final, what do you call that nasty skin thing that kills people. But what it had said was not only had the Russians lost a lot of mid and lower level officers, but this was going to cause massive morale problems because the troops are seeing the leadership dying in front of them and thinking, oh my God, if a general can get killed, if a colonel can get killed, I'm just some guy from the sticks who's here for 6 months who was supposed to be, you know, working some stupid duty and they sent me to a war. What's going to happen to me? So it's just reinforcing all the problems they've got. So the Russian army is, I mean, they are falling apart. They're still dangerous though. But the good news is they seem to screw up a lot, and that still in the long run can give Ukraine a big advantage. But it doesn't mean they're going to beat the Russians anytime soon. You know, it's not like they're going to beat the Russians in the next month and the Russians are going to leave. Oops, sorry. It's going to take a while for that to happen. Just seeing what else here. All right, you guys are chatting amongst yourselves. I will go back to another TikTok Q&A. The thing with the pipeline, Grassfed asks about the pipeline exemption in the European Union's oil embargo. The thing with that that's interesting to me is when I looked it up, it said that 2/3 of the oil that Russia sells to the European Union goes via tankers. So this embargo would eventually cut off 2/3 of the oil that Russia ships to Europe. That's really good. The final third would be nice to cut off as well, obviously. But the fact that, I mean, I was afraid it was going to be like, this is only 15% of the oil they buy or something. It's 66% of the oil they're buying is going away. That's great. So, you know, I don't know about the rest of it. Who knows? You know, I don't know. The thing is, we'd have to kind of know what the internal deals were. Like, why did they agree to that? Was there some country that gets more of the pipeline stuff that couldn't get rid of it or something? But in any case, I don't think it's on the Black Sea. Not the one we're talking about. Not the It depends. The place the Russians are trying to take in the east is a town. It's Severodonetsk. It's not on the sea, unless I'm crazy. But it's not on the sea. It's basically south of Kharkiv and west of the land the Russians already have in the east. I'll pull it up. Actually, let me pull it up on my map and I'll show you guys. It's a decent town, but it's not on the water. And it is strategically important. But what the Institute for the Study of War, that's a very good defense think tank, is saying is that it is not worth it. The military experts are saying it is not worth the amount of manpower and weapons the Russians are putting in there. It's just not. Hey, Conrad, I see you over there on Facebook. Let me zoom out and show you. Yeah, that's the. Hang on here. Hang on. Yep, Severodonetsk. Hold on. Yeah. I mean, hard for you to see, but the black line is the border with Russia, and you can see where the sea is below. The red mark is the town they're fighting over. Here you go. See, you guys can see that's the red That's the town they're fighting over. To the east is the Russian border. To the north is northwest is Kharkiv. Straight south is Mariupol on the water. So yeah, it's definitely not on the sea. No. It is strategic where it is, though. Any more talk of embargo, cut off of the gas? No. The Russians did cut off gas to the Netherlands. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it won't matter. The Netherlands had saved enough gas that they said it's just not going to make a difference. For some reason, at the beginning of the war, I read an article talking about the difference between boycotting the oil versus the gas. And it said oil. I need a whiteboard. I know. I write so poorly, though. I ought to get a whiteboard. At least I could do that. At least I'd be like, here's Ukraine. But at least I could show you relatively where things are. Although this kind of works with my phone. It's not the worst thing. I'm forgetting why exactly, but they said that oil made a lot more sense for the European Union to boycott. I remember one thing that they said, that it would be easier for them to get oil elsewhere than it would be for them to get natural gas elsewhere. That was the big issue that was out there. I know there's also, issues with liquid natural gas, and apparently you need ports that are special, meaning water, ports on the water that are specialized for getting that, for transporting it and receiving it and stuff. And the Europeans are not going to be building more of those. I think Greece may even be building a lot more. But that's why gas has not been talked about as much, that the alternatives are harder. And there was an issue that I believe there's so much more money that comes to Russia from oil than natural gas, that they said the bang for the buck in terms of the impact of sanctions was something on the order of 3 times more for oil than for gas. That it would cost Russia 3 times as much money or whatever. So anyway, those are the reasons why it maybe isn't being talked about, because it's harder to do and the impact is less. So that's all. We're explaining a negative here, but that's at least what I had read earlier, which might explain it. God, I feel like when you ask questions, Marion, I always feel like I'm having my final exam at Georgetown. I forgot. Remember what did we call those? Those exams. We had to go under these oral exams, and they would throw stuff like this at you, and you'd kind of be like, "Okay, what's the question going to be? Oh my God, what's the question going to be?" And between Marion and Harvey, every night is its own Georgetown oral exam, where I'm kind of like, "Did I get it right?" All right, wada. What else we got here? Here you go. Okay. Marion's weighing in on the natural gas. Yep, a lot more infrastructure needed to switch the gas supply. That's what I had read. And I believe, like I said, the Greeks maybe, the Italians may also be putting in new stuff. I'm not sure. But yes, a whiteboard would be lovely at some point. I would be totally into that. Oh my God, my arm, I'm telling you, I'm just one big, I have to take more allergy pills tonight. Oof, my arm is just, I was gardening my plants today and all sorts of things, and they scratch your arm, and then you're like, ah. Russia. So thoughts on Russia using the 60-year-old tanks? Yeah, those are the T-62 tanks. And I'm trying to think. And Harvey, I've got yours saved. What I was reading about them was, and feel free, by the way, to weigh in, because I know there's some military folks on here that know this better than I do. But what I was reading was, they're very old tanks, but they are tanks. So they're not nothing. The Russians were, I was reading about this yesterday. They were putting them in some of these cities, I believe, like Kherson and Zaporizhia, the 2 oblasts, the 2 regions in the south, right north of Crimea. They were putting the tanks there, but I think they might have been using them like for show, like for law and order. So they were kind of, what I thought I read was they were kind of in the city itself, but they weren't using it for actually engaging the enemy because they were going to get blown up. But that's what I'd read. So, it's providing them some vehicle because it's better than a car, You know, it's better than them driving around in a, what were they called, Laudas, or what were they? I don't remember what the Russian cars are anymore. But you know, thank you, Ephemius. I do have some. I'm actually on some allergy pills, but they don't do anything. In any case, that's the deal with the tanks. So, I mean, it's not optimal, and it also is a sign that the Russians aren't doing too well if they're shipping in really old tanks. But, you know that already. Portla's saying, or is it Portita? Can't read. Portla, maybe. I've seen the tanks weren't supposed to be used, but now that Ukraine may be on the verge of a counteroffensive, we may see them in action. Yeah, I mean, the thought is that, and again, they better get these weapons from the U.S., that Russia is pretty much doing all it can to get this town to Severodonetsk, that Putin just kind of needs it to prove that he's a man, that he was able to at least get Luhansk, the easternmost province of Ukraine, or the easternmost region of Ukraine, and that after that, the Russian forces will be spent. And at that point, the Ukrainians, at some point after that, will be able to then start fighting back and do their own counteroffensives much more broadly. But they're waiting for more of the NATO aid to come, and they're specifically would be counting on these long-range missiles, which would make a huge difference. Sorry. Let me see here. But I said, just seeing that they're taking retired tanks out of retirement for this shows they have depleted their stocks of modern tanks. Exactly. That's exactly right. All right, guys, let me grab another Q&A question from you all. How do you see the war ending? Boy, if that isn't an ongoing, that's like an evergreen question for us. You know what I mean? How do you see the war ending? I so don't know at this point. I mean, there's a lot of obvious possibilities. Yep. Keep hitting the like button or keep tapping the screen, guys. We're up to 300,000 on TikTok. Woo woo. I still think there is a possibility that Russia gets beat so badly that Russia is forced to withdraw. They did it in Afghanistan. They didn't drop nuclear weapons in Afghanistan, and they had them, and they were so beat that they were forced to pull out and go. That is what I'm hoping to see. I am not convinced they're going to be able to push the Russians out of Crimea. Having said that, they weren't supposed to survive more than 3 days in this war, right? Within 3 days, I mean, none of us, I didn't think the Ukrainians would be able to do what they've done, So might they be able to even start beating the Russians back in Crimea? It's possible. But I don't have a prediction of which way it goes, but I guess I'm leaning towards, if we keep supporting Ukraine, Ukraine will keep pushing the Russians back. And the Russians aren't going to have any choice, but their troops are going to get more and more destroyed, especially if they can get these long-range guns. So, I see the Ukrainians actually winning this, but it may take time. It may not be something that they're able to do in just a couple months. Beep, 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 beep. Anything here? You guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's okay. What would happen if the war of Putin dies? Well, it depends who succeeds him, right? You could have his successor be somebody who comes up. Thank you, Flint. You could have, that's cute. Yeah, I'll come down like that. You could have somebody who comes up and says, this was a disaster. This idiot didn't even know what he's doing. Oh, did I miss Harvey? Oh, Harvey, I did miss you. I'll pull that up in a second. Sorry about that. I missed you, Harvey. You could have somebody who comes up and says, Putin was such a moron that this is ridiculous. We're removing our troops. This was a disaster. And you basically make it all about Putin. And you just make it all about Putin. So they could. Or you could get somebody who's a hardliner, who's a Putin fan and a Putin protege, who says, dear leader, I'm going to pay homage to you and make sure we win this war, right? That's what it could be. So, I mean, and I will say the final point there is that is the risk of assassinating leaders, of trying to get rid of leaders of countries. You don't know who's coming next. And it's possible that you get somebody better, and it's possible you get somebody worse. So, and it's a real issue in foreign relations and foreign policy that you've got to think of that. Do you know what's coming next? You know, could the country fall apart? And if the country falls apart, is that really a good thing? You know, would you want on all of Russia's borders instability and all this stuff? Maybe not, right? With China, do you really want a war between Russia and China? Really? Two nuclear powers? I mean, all of that stuff could happen. All of that stuff could happen. So Harvey, I apologize. Russia vetoed new UN sanctions against some little flag. I'm going to go for North Korea. Let me know if that's North Korea. For the first time since 2006, is this Russia putting a middle finger to the West because of support for Ukraine? Could we see more actions like this? I am not up on what's going on with that, but sure. I mean, I think it's clearly got to be Russia screwing around with us. Now, in the end, it's not like Russia wants North Korea to be nuclear either. I can't imagine. I mean, you know, he's crazy. And the nuclear situation doesn't help them because he's on their border, you know? He's right by them. That's not, I mean, he's in their neighborhood at least. That's not safe for him. So but I think, yeah, he's doing it to us. I guess the thing is, well, I guess, right, China, where was China on that? I'm always intrigued where China is on this, on the North Korea thing, because I know they're allies or whatever, they're frenemies at least, but I don't know how China votes on the sanctions issue. But that's very interesting that Russia's doing that. Yeah. No, I think Russia is trying to and mind you, at the UN, Russia's trying to freak out the world. Russia's trying to convince the world, I'm crazy. Look, again, think of the Vladimir Putin dying thing, right? I'm crazy. I'm sick. Who knows what could be happening next? Oh my God. And that's what they're trying to do. Look, world, look at what I'm vetoing. I'm crazy at the UN. But I think that's what's going on with them. They're just trying to, you know, oops, I'm going to take my Windex and hit my computer. Boom. And it's not going to work. Good enough. All right. Yeah. Oh, you're going to definitely see more like that. This is what they're doing at the wheat coming out of the ports. There was talk about whether Russia is now going to cut off food aid and water to 1 million Syrians because Russia can, and whether they would do it just to screw around with us. So, you know, all of that's possible. Yes. Yes. I know, slow day at the Russian trolls. I'm almost getting offended that the Russian trolls have abandoned me. I wonder if that's like, I don't know, you know. Is the chat getting tense? I don't know. What's getting tense here? Are people getting angry? Don't get angry. Be nice. COVID is rampant in North Korea right now. It may get real weird in North Korea in a bit. Well, didn't they finally even admit finally that they had COVID there? Their first COVID case, which was total BS, of course. You know, there's no way it was their first. Woo, we're at 324,000 likes, guys. That's good. I don't usually pay attention to how many likes there are. I didn't totally understand how the likes worked until now. Burp, burp, burp. I'm touching my own face. Beep, 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 beep. All right. Annette, let me see what you wrote. Have you heard Germany will invest 100 billion euros in military equipment totaling the next 5 years? Yes, I did see that. They haven't sent the tanks to Ukraine because they don't have ammunition enough for them. You know, maybe. Maybe. I will say I did see the experts praising the German investment in their military, that they were very glad to see that. And they seemed to think that was the assessment was that it was very good that what the Germans announced. So yes. We will praise the Germans on that one. I give you that. All right. What's going on? All right. They say that's there we go. And then Annette throws in, they say, meaning the Germans say they're going to do this. And that is thank you. That was the best joke yet real comment of the day. Oh, I did see this. Yeah. So Sin is saying, what do you think about the Russian state TV's Olga Skabe? Oh boy. Skabeyevasa? You're missing something there. Skabeyevasa? I'm guessing there's probably a letter missing there. Vasaya, maybe. It might be time to admit that the special operation in Ukraine is over. Russia has now been forced to demilitarize the whole of NATO. I saw that. And I read that and I was like, guys, you're losing. I mean, like, really? They seem so thrilled to put this as a war with NATO. And I was thinking about this last night, okay? Russia, for example, the way, are we at 500? Oh, no, we're at 350. You're saying, let's get us to 500. Come on, TikTok, let's get us to 500,000 likes. You can do it. You can tap that screen. Russia's excuse for why Ukraine has been doing so well has been to repeatedly talk about, well, we're actually fighting NATO, you know. We're not fighting Ukraine. We're fighting NATO. They're giving them NATO weapons. And I'm hearing that and I'm going, so you're admitting that when you fight NATO, you lose? I mean, that's what I hear. And honestly, if I were the American president, I would say that. I would say, you know, we're not at war with Russia, but I'm surprised Russia's saying that because they're kind of admitting that the reason they're losing is because they're fighting us. So they think they're going to lose if they fight. I mean, like, really? Okay, thanks. I guess you think we're better. Okay, right? So, and if you really want to put a spin on it, we're not even fighting you. We're just giving it to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are using NATO weapons, and they don't even have our best weapons, and they're kicking your butt. Imagine what would happen if you really took on NATO. I mean, that would be my response to the Russians, but you know me. I'm a little more in your face as these things go. Jack, what do you mean? Continue sustaining these current losses or their current losses? I mean, the Russians would, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. They also showed how much nukes it would take to cripple the USA. Everybody drink. The Russians threatened nuclear war. Woo! I think of we've got to get the Pee Wee Herman thing. Remember when they would have the magic word and when you'd say the magic word, everyone would go, toilet paper. That's what we need, like, for every time Russia talks about nuclear war. As I've told people over and over again, nuclear submarines. The US and the Brits have nuclear submarines. And those submarines are invulnerable. You can't find them. And what will happen if Russia eliminates the United States or eliminates Great Britain? All of our nuclear submarines, thank you, Manda Bear, that they can't touch would then destroy all life in Russia as you know it. And the Russians know it, but for whatever reason, these guys on TV are lying to their own viewers. They're lying to their own viewers because their own viewers may not know that. Their own viewers are thinking, oh, our missiles can destroy the Americans. Oh. Vodka, right? So that's the first thing. They don't know better. They're also doing it to get us. All right. Thank you, Leon. I appreciate you coming by. Oh boy, sorry about that. Who was that? Annette. Thank you, Annette, for that. They're also doing it to freak us out because the more Russia talks about nuclear war, the more Joe Biden worries about sending long-range missiles to Ukraine. So those conversations are, I think, for an audience of one, maybe an audience of four. They want Macron, Schultz, and whoever is the prime minister today in Italy to kind of go, but that's what I think they're doing. So it serves its purpose there because it sounds crazy. And that's what they do. They want it to sound crazy. They want it to sound like the Russians are crazy. So that's what I think is going on. What you're saying, Flint? I know quite a few submariners in the RN. Not sure what the RN is. Oh, the Russian Navy. And they are on active patrol very close to station at the moment and have been for some time now. Okay. But again, they're not going to take out all of our subs, Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Audrianne's exactly right. If I had a drink for every time the Russians have threatened nuclear war, I'd be a drunk at this point. Oh, the Royal Navy. Thank the RN. The Royal Navy. I see. So the Royal Navy has been on guard, you mean, or whatever. Thank you guys. I didn't know. Thank you. I'm thinking the Russian Navy. You foreigners and your abbreviations. Actually, that's probably a military thing. Where you guys like your abbreviations. I see. Okay, it's Royal. I know. Royal. Okay, I got it. I'm going to pull it up again then. Okay, so I know quite a few submariners in the Royal Navy, and they are on active patrol very close to station at the moment and have been for some time now. Yeah, they have to be. I mean, they've got to be on guard just in case, you know? Yep, no, exactly, Jack. Thank you, Poppy, for the roses. Let me find another TikTok question here. God, 8:10 already, 10 after. I'm always amazed. Some days this goes really slowly, and other days it's like, boom. And today's been one of those boom days, but maybe because I had my asthma inhaler and a little bit of chocolate before we started. That may have just kind of thrown me into who has the upper hand at this point? Kind of Ukraine, really, in a way, meaning that, Russia was able to get some decent land in Ukraine, but really got their nose bloodied, obviously. And now Russia's coming to a position where they're going to have to dig in, and they may be able to dig in, thank you, Poppy and Lynn, both of you. They're going to dig in, and the Ukrainians are going to have to dig them out. But the Ukrainians keep getting more and more weapons and keep getting better weapons than what they started with, right? Because the more the West worries or whatever, the better weapons we've been giving. The Russians, on the other hand, are losing their weapons. They're losing their manpower. And what's happening? The Russians are now getting worse weapons. Like somebody said earlier, those tanks from 60 years ago, the T-62 tanks. They're getting their less good weapons at the same time the Ukrainians are getting better and better and better stuff. So the momentum, I would say, is with the Ukrainians at this point in terms of maybe military readiness, so to speak, but also in terms of where things are heading in the next few weeks to maybe month or two, when the momentum is going to switch to the Ukrainians. And then they're going to be the ones pushing and deciding where they fight the Russians. And don't underestimate the guerrilla warfare that's just beginning right now, too, right? Where the Russians are starting to have these bombings and things go off against their collaborators. Streamlabs is making jokes now. You finally see, I decided to have fun throwing in some jokes. I threw in I wish TikTok would allow this, but I was able to have a bot that could throw jokes in. I have old Soviet jokes that are thrown on the screen. So they're kind of like old dad jokes. I forgot how to say dad in Russian, but they're kind of dad jokes, but they're dad Soviet jokes. And I think they're very funny. They made me laugh. What's this is the other one. Yeah. I like this one. Hang on. I'm going to read this one for the folks on TikTok. So this one's a Soviet worker asks a party official, "Comrade, how is Soviet communism different from American capitalism?" The official responds, "It is very simple, comrade. In American capitalism, man oppresses man. In Soviet communism, it's the opposite." It makes me laugh. Mario, won't Russia just find other buyers for oil? And I read that India is buying up a lot of Russian crude. I do believe that's the case. Thank you, Poppy. What I saw was the Russian oil is discounted because a lot of companies are kind of freaked out about buying Russian oil. And I don't know if it's like $20 cheaper or $30 cheaper a barrel or whatever, but that people would be buying it otherwise. Trying to think here. Yeah, but the only thing is, yes and no, because here's the thing. They're still losing money because you have a finite number of customers, okay? It's not like, who's Russia going to get? The only way Russia's got the customers it's already got, okay? And one tranche of that is the Europeans. It loses two-thirds. It loses $16 billion a month of European purchases, okay? What does Russia do? Russia tries to find other people to buy the oil. The problem is everybody who's looking to buy oil is already buying oil from someone else, maybe from Russia, maybe from someone else. So who does Russia sell the oil to? All Russia can do is lower the price of the oil and try to get one of these guys to leave their current people and go to Russia instead. So maybe you do have India or somebody else coming over, but they're filling the void the Europeans are leaving by Russia having to cut the price. So it means you are correct. What it means is the amount of money Russia loses maybe isn't 16 billion a month. Maybe it's, I don't even know what it would be, 25% of that or whatever. So that happens. But yeah, no, you're right. It would make the sanctions less effective. But I don't think you'd have a one-for-one substitution because people are buying it elsewhere already. So why would they go to the Russians unless it's cheaper? And if it's cheaper, then the Russians at least are losing some money, which is good. Ooh, 470,000. Look at you guys. We are going to get to 500,000 likes. Keep tapping, TikTok. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you. Or do they claim? Oh, is this for oil syndicate? He's saying a company registered in Switzerland, owned by a Dutch person, is making about 20 million euros profit per order, they claim. You mean on the Russian gas or what? I guess you mean on the Russian gas. Sound effects. Are there sound effects? I didn't know there was sound effects. I'm watching you on my Streamlabs. Are there sound effects going on YouTube? You'll have to fill me in. Did Syndicate turn something on? I don't know. That's very funny. All right, guys, let me look for another. I knew nothing. No, now I'm a maniac, Bonnie. Correct. I knew nothing about TikTok likes. Now I'm like, give me those TikTok likes. Q&A. We're at 488,000 people. We can do this. Beep, 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 beep. I know nothing about an election in Ukraine at all. Putin cutting gas to Denmark. I wouldn't be surprised. Bodies in Mariupol. I'm not surprised about that either. My TikTok problems. Never. Oop, 496,000. Look out. All right. We're going to get. Oh, I was making sound effects. Yes, I always make sound effects. That's an entirely different question. 500,000. Thank you, TikTok. Woo! Appreciate that. Who knows if the likes make a difference? I like to think maybe they make a difference. I'm hoping at least it makes TikTok go, people seem to like this live. Another question. What do we got? And it's 1:15. I'll do another question or two here. And as always, if you have another super chat question, I will do those even after I stop. What else we got here? Kamala Harris has not weighed in much. No, the VP. But, she kind of weighs in at the president's leisure, meaning if he doesn't want her speaking, she's not speaking. So Biden does not want her weighing in on the war, it would seem. Actually, here's the thing, though. I think Biden smartly has not been weighing in on the war as much as I would because he doesn't want to make it about America versus Russia, right? That's the thing. He doesn't want to make it about America versus Russia. So he doesn't want to speak, and he doesn't want Kamala Harris to speak because then it makes the Russians be able to go, look, you see, we're in a battle with the American president and his vice president, right? So that's my guess. Good night, Tyson Ann. Good to see you. Thank you, Annette and Iggy, both. I appreciate that. Oh, and evolving. Thank you. I always wonder what all this looks like on I think the YouTubers think we're a little crazy, TikTok, because of all the crazy stuff we're doing. I did do a yes. When you live alone, you make sounds. You don't even realize the weirdest thing about living alone is you don't realize you're talking to yourself. I realized that when I'm at my mom's. I find myself talking to myself and going, oh, someone's going to hear me talking here. All right, guys, I'm willing to do another question or two, and then we're going to do our hangout here. Turnout looked to be not dissimilar from the other night. I mean, I hate to sort of make it harder for the Europeans, but as I said, I'm kind of juggling this America versus Europe thing. So this week we'll do the 7 o'clock, see how it goes, and then I'll decide. What else? Putin may have blood cancer. The problem is, you could live a whole lifetime with blood cancer. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that it's going to kill him anytime soon, even if he had it. I did see that. Maybe I'll finish with this. So that Russian commanders are abandoning injured soldiers. This is true. I saw a report on this again today that Russian troops are literally leaving their dead and wounded behind. Really sick. And it's what they do, and it's what we don't do. There were a lot of stories at the beginning of the war on this. There was some Ukrainian in, I forget what town it was. It was one of the towns. Oh, my back is hurting me. It was one of the towns that the Russians had really savaged. And one of the Ukrainians got like a bunch of cold storage tanks and was putting the Russian bodies in them so that eventually they could be turned back to Russia. And I was kind of blown away going like, my God, imagine these people came into your town, your country, and did the things they're doing. The last thing I would be doing is, granted, you don't want their bodies in your front yard, but the last thing I'd be doing was going, let's find a way to use our energy and our oil to run a tractor trailer to keep their bodies fresh for their families. I'd be like, you know what? Dig a hole out by the garbage and, sayonara. But so I'm impressed that the Ukrainians, but yes, there were more reports about that. People don't mind us talking to ourselves. Let's put it down to our age. I think they put it to, they're such interesting people. They have so much going on inside their head that they talk to themselves because there's so much to talk about. That's my theory. All right, guys. All right, I'm gonna say we're done. Is what I'm going to say, because it's 20 after. Thank you, Mins, for the hat. Let's enter our post-cafe, as we say in French, a post-cafe. Let's kind of have our hanging out period at the end, our coffee talk, except I don't have coffee because it's late at night. But we can hang out and do our 10 minutes of hanging out thing. So let's hang out. And we don't necessarily talk about Ukraine. We still could a little bit. I don't mind. But let me slide this so I can see you guys better. Actually, Syndicate, I was doing my morning coffee with these guys on TikTok just for fun. We were just having coffee and talking. But people were saying, pouce café son café. Exactement. Ouais, c'est ça. C'est original. Or c'est original. It's new. You can market it. It's less caffeine. It's like what do you say, like tisane or whatever it is for tea. There's no caffeine because there's no coffee. Hello, DC Firehouse. Oh, God, I love DC Firehouses. Like that firehouse that they turned into a housing or whatever in Mount Pleasant. Oh, my God. What a gorgeous building. Oh, my God. So what was I going to – oh, yeah. So Syndicate, some of the people in the morning, we were talking about T-shirts. And I was trying to think, they were saying merchandise, and I was like, oh, I would do merchandise. Thank you, Kanausi. But go Putin, oh, baby, moo, bye-bye. There we go. Go Putin. Go to hell, Putin. Sorry, we had a troll that had to leave the building. Recap. I'm sorry. Recap, and then we'll talk T-shirts. All right, so the recap of the news. So the European Union has agreed to an oil embargo of Russia going after the tankers, but not the pipelines, which would account to 2/3 of the oil they import from Russia. Russia accused Ukraine of war crimes, and the crime was refusing to surrender. I kid you not. In Severodonetsk, the town in the east that the Russians have been going whole hog after, a lot of violence going on. The Russians are making incremental gains, nothing too great yet. The Ukrainians had a successful counteroffensive near Kherson in the south. Not many more details on that. It was successful. The Defense Intelligence from the United Kingdom says that Russia has likely suffered devastating losses to its mid and junior ranking military officers. The long-range missile deal Either Biden did or didn't kill the deal this morning to provide long-range missiles to Ukraine, which Ukraine really needs and which would make a huge difference. Oh, textile printers. Okay. We can talk about this. Waffler works for textile printers. Okay. I'm like, let me write this down, even though you've got a name that I can't tell anybody. I'm writing this down. Waffle, Minor. All right. You crazy person there. That's good to know. The Biden may or may not have killed the deal to send these missiles. We don't know. He unfortunately is being very vague, and it's very confusing. Kalush Orchestra sold its trophy from Eurovision for $900,000. It will be used to buy 3 drones. Obviously, it's pretty damn good drones if it's $300,000 a drone. Russia shut off natural gas to the Netherlands, but it doesn't really matter. 94% of Ukrainians define victory as the liberation of all occupied territories, including Crimea. French journalist Frédéric Leclerc-Imhoff was killed by the Russians riding in a vehicle escorting civilians, and the Russians knew it was a civilian vehicle, and they fired anyway. Netflix has finally completed its exit from Russia. And a collaborator mayor of Zaporizhia found that his home was bombed, much to his unliking, which is more evidence that the opposition, the resistance is growing, and they are armed and they know what they're doing, which is great news. So anyway, Syndicate, yes. So we were talking T-shirts this morning, and there were a couple ideas. Now, one that I did love is somebody said we're going to have a T-shirt that has Moose and Squirrel on it, or Boris and Natasha. The thing we've got to be careful of is, Boris and Natasha and Moose and Squirrel are things that already exist. So we have to be a little careful. But maybe somebody can draw. If we can find an artist who can draw something similar, maybe we can get away with selling those. I don't know. I never quite know how that works. The problem is they're copyrighted. That's what I mean. We'd have to have something that isn't them. That's what I worry about, But I loved the idea. I loved the idea of just the expression "big trouble for Moose and Squirrel." I'm not sure what we can do, Raggedy Android, though. They're right. The copyright's the problem with Rocky and Bullwinkle. Fuck off a Ukrainian. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, you also could have Russian president go F yourself in Russian. That could be good. Let me see. Ruski, what's president? What is it? Idzi nahui? Ruski presidenti? I don't even know how you say president in Russian. We could have Marion fact check the grammar. But we'll have to think. We've got to think. It's fine to use the original in a parody. Yeah, maybe. I mean, only because I've looked at copyright before and it's very confusing. Oh, the Winnie the Pooh copyright is done. That's interesting. That's a good question, though. The copyright, let me look here. The copyright on Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's a good question, actually. I forget. Are those things 75 years? Rocky and Bullwinkle copyright. Oh, Rocky and Bullwinkle was supposed to enter public domain in 2016, but didn't. Interesting. Why is that? Why is that? If these copyrighted terms still existed, wait, I don't understand. Why are they not? This article. Owners. Why? Because they're still using it or something. This is one person, if it's correct. None of the above material will enter the public domain under current copyright until 2055. So they extended the copyright on a bunch of products because they were coming. A lot of things, Batman and a lot of things were coming of age in the last 5 years. Damn. They made a movie, probably to continue the fair use. The problem with fair use, because I had examined a lot of this stuff earlier. The problem with fair use is when you try to sell something, then it's a whole even parody. If you try to sell it, it becomes commercial. It stops being parody or satire, or it stops being fair use potentially if you sell it. So in other words, you could make a political cartoon because you're not really selling the cartoon, even though you're selling the paper, but actually selling a T-shirt, you're commercializing it. The show, actually, Harvey, the show is on Netflix here in the States. Harvey's saying Zelensky's show, Servant of the People, is going to, it's going to UK Netflix. It's already on American Netflix. Yeah. Already on here. I've just deduct Drake. The problem is we've got to figure out the copyright issue. I'm not convinced we can do the copyright. That's my concern. I would love to figure out if there's some way. I mean, I don't really practice law. Since I studied law, I know enough to scare me. But I mean, I was going to say a generic moose and squirrel could be funny. Now, of course, the issue becomes too, we need a name for ourselves anyway. So somebody had said the Sasha News Network, and I do love the Sasha News Network, but I wonder about a parody name that includes moose and squirrel. That could be quite funny too. I don't have any copyright lawyers. I don't know any. But a generic moose and squirrel could be very funny. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's, because I just love, again, the fact that it's the only thing is it's an inside joke for people our age and older. That's funny. SNN is the airport code for Shannon, Ireland. That's cute. We like Shannon, Ireland. I think I passed through Shannon, Ireland once, but that was my only time in Ireland, was in the airport for, half an hour when you run in and look at the stuff to shop. Yeah, ask your brother. And I'm just curious at what people know about the copyright issue, how it would work. But I think a generic moose and squirrel wouldn't be a terrible idea. And the question becomes I guess the question just becomes how, and then there's the Boris and Natasha thing is the same problem. I mean, a moose and squirrel might be, I don't know. We'd have to think, we've got to have to talk to a copyright lawyer who could tell us how far away. I mean, I'd be selling these in the United States, so it would be U.S. law, I'm assuming, that we would worry about, No, we'd have to, let's get to 600,000. That's true. Oh, ugly duckling. Thank you, Kanowski. We'd have to hear from a copyright lawyer who could give us a sense of what the deal is. I just don't know. I've never been to Ireland. I'm dying to go to Ireland. It's on my list of lists. But no, the problem is once you sell stuff, you lose a lot of the protections. That I do know. As soon as you start selling stuff, you lose satire and you lose a lot of that stuff. Pay them the royalties. I guess it depends what the royalties would be. Well, there's a lot of options, right? I mean, there's a tank, there's a tractor being pulled. I mean, there's lots of potentiality. Also, Rocky and Bullwinkle may just be too hard it may be too esoteric for people. I don't know. I just like the going after the Soviets aspect of it. Actually, oh my God, except you're not going to be able to read it. Shoot. I was going to say, I've got something I could show you guys, but I don't think this would be, you wouldn't be able to read the subtitle. Well, hold on a second. I'm going to pull something up here. Did I show you guys the Wendy's commercial from 1985? I think I did, didn't I? Did I show you guys the commercial from Wendy's in America? The American TV commercial for I think I did, for hamburgers from 1985 that was going after the Soviets. I'm waiting to see more of you. No? Well, also, all of you may not be reading a few more comments people are making about the shirts, and then I'll show you the commercial. Right. Companies do abide by copyright very strictly. Exactly. I would not want to play with it. I'm going to be able to license it. Right. Okay, Syndicate, go do your thing. Sorry to keep you up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let me, no, this is Wendy's. Actually, it's going to be 1985. This is an infamous commercial that people of my generation and older would be familiar with. Other people would not be necessarily, but my generation would be. And I'm going to show you. Hang on a sec. Now, the only problem is I probably can't. Well, let me see here. Hold on. Where is this? Come on. Expand. Actually, hold on. I'm going to put my picture up all the way. The problem is, as I said, it's not easy to see this because it's a very old version. Well, here, you guys care. You can. That's not terrible, right? You can see the screen. It's not terrible. You can see the guy. I mean, you can even you can tell it's a guy with a fiddle. Okay, so what this is it is a Soviet fashion. It is a hamburger company, Wendy's, and it is a Soviet fashion show. And they did a Soviet fashion show to sell hamburgers. And mind you, this is 1985 at the height of the Cold War, Ronald Reagan, and it is one of the funniest freaking commercials of all time. And I'm going to see if you can. Pay attention, please. Is next day there. Very nice. Is next evening there. Very nice.
Having no choice is no fun. That's why at Wendy's, every hamburger isn't dressed the same. You get your choice of fresh toppings, fresh tomatoes, fresh lettuce, fresh onions, cheese, bacon, and more. Having a choice is better than not.
Is next. Swimwear. So you remember, yeah. It was absolutely the funniest damn. Thank you, Bobby. The funniest damn commercial and the accent's like is next. Swimwear, but I love evening wear, and it's the same outfit, but she's got a flashlight because they have no electricity. I mean, it was so awful. I mean, wonderful, awful, but awful. Just absolutely cracked me. Oh, sorry. Hey, Bash Brannigan, just arrived. Don't know if you answered this, but is France actually suggesting Ukraine give up the Donbass to make peace? I haven't seen the latest on this. France has repeatedly been certainly pushing for the peace talks. There was a French ambassador last night, the former French ambassador to the United States, Gerard, was it Aho? I forget his last name, who was getting into a fight with the former U.S. ambassador to Russia, McFaul. And I wrote this it was in yesterday's thing. Hold on, I don't even know if I probably don't even have it. No, I don't have it. I threw it out. And he was tweeting at him and saying, sometimes you lose. And when you lose wars, you have to give up land. And that's just the way it is. And he was basically lecturing as if Ukraine has already lost the war and they've got to give up land. And that's the deal. And that's just the way it is. And it really pissed a lot of people off. And the fact that it's coming from France's very recent ambassador to the United States, he was the guy before the current one just a couple of years ago, really pissed people off. Now, I don't know whether Macron did something else in the last day, but that was what pissed us off yesterday about Macron. So I'm not sure beyond that. I don't know. Was there something else that happened by chance? That I'm not sure. In any case, yes. So that was my favorite. Commercial from from the 1980s with Wendy's just going after the Soviets. And I remember I had some foreign friends in undergrad who were just howling. They were like, "You people are just amazing." It was just, I mean, it was, and people were, I mean, this was 1985. I remember this thing now. It was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, and I remember that damn commercial. It was so damn funny. God. Oh, so funny. Anyway, yeah, so we've got to see. We'll have to see if anybody knows copyright lawyers to get their opinions on this and what we can do. I don't know if Wendy's ever went to Russia. That would be very funny. I'm going to guess the Russians would not have been very happy about it. That's my guess, you know. But, yep, when you were born, as I always tell people, now you know why we were so anti-Soviet back then, because you're getting a special course on how bad the Russians really are. So, anyway, all right, guys. If we've got nothing else here, I am going to sign off. All right, I'm going to sign off, guys. It's 20. We've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes, and I did do like 45 minutes this morning, and I'll probably do a little bit in the morning. But let's see. I would love to do some more ideas on selling merchandise and stuff, and Syndicate. We talked about, like I said, possibly doing a Discord. We'll have to see. I want to see what the value added is. I know. We'll see about a green screen. The problem is, too, I just don't want more crap in my apartment. I mean, I've got the big light. I've got my laptop. I've got the iPad. I've got a big microphone. I've got this microphone, a computer stand. I had to get a stand for the iPad. I've got a stand for my phone that I use taping them during the day. And I've got a really good microphone over there that I may move over. I just, like, if I get a green, I don't have an office like in this apartment, really. If I had an extra bedroom, I'd consider putting everything in the extra room. But like, I'm not sure I want a huge green screen in the middle of my living room just to add to everything else. It's annoying. But let's see, 615,000. Woo! The TikTokers come through with 615,000 likes. We love you, TikTokers. You are amazing. Thank you for this. I appreciate it. Very kind, and very kind of all of you guys on YouTube today and Facebook and LinkedIn. I know. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I think a whiteboard may be the way to start for starters, at least, but we shall see. Okay, guys, I am going to sign off. Give me the bye-bye on TikTok so I know we've caught up. 618,000. You guys rock. I appreciate it. And you guys on YouTube, the same thing. Thank you. Tomorrow we will do the same thing, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. And as I said, we'll stick with that time this week. And, I'll decide. Maybe I'll decide at the end of the week. I want to pick a permanent time for during the week, but this is the time we used to do before I went to Chicago. So I kind of wanted to at least give it a chance again and see what works. Thank you, Poppy. As always, I forgot about it until you threw it up there. Oh, I know. We need a map too. All right. Okay, YouTubers.